Welcome back everybody to another MOTOBOB video. We're in Spain again today. The launches are coming thick and fast at this time of year. And this time we're here with BMW to ride both the new R1250R and the R1250 RS. Now I've had a brilliant time riding these two bikes today, swapping between the two. We've had excellent roads and excellent weather. And so in this video, we'll go through all of the major details and I'll tell you everything that you need to know about them. Now, hands down, my favorite feature of these two bikes is the Boxer twin engine. It's the latest 1254cc version with their shift cam tech. And so what that means is that most of the time when you're just pootling along, it's running on a less aggressive cam profile, and that gives it better fuel efficiency and also a little bit more low-end grunt. But when you start to give it a bit of throttle, an electronically actuated pin shifts it over on a more aggressive cam profile, and that emphasizes peak power. Now look, it's not really an engine that's built to deliver lots of hooliganism and thrills. It doesn't really have that throttle snap or, you know, a top end rush that's going to make it exhilarating to ride. But what it is rich and torquey and smooth, and it feels sort of luxurious. Bags of mid-range, lots of pull. It is a quick bike, but it just delivers it in this sort of linear and predictable way that I think actually is perfectly suited for the sort of thing that these bikes are intended for, which is like moderate to quick riding and some sort of sport touring abilities. The sound is, you know, potentially a bit of an acquired taste. I think Boxer twin fans really love it. Some of the bikes that we've been riding today have the Akropovic accessory exhaust as well, so that does help a little bit. And just generally all round, it's a nice, pleasant engine to use, a fairly light clutch action. There's a quick shifter accessory as well, which works quite nicely, apart from there's quite a big jolt between first and second gear, but otherwise nice and smooth. And also you've got an 18-litre fuel tank. I think that's pretty good actually on a sort of naked bike. Maybe on a sports tourer, you'd more so call it like acceptable, but you know, with the Boxer twin, in the sort of less aggressive shift cam profile, it is quite efficient. There's an eco riding mode as well. So I think range is pretty acceptable on both bikes, but really it's that silkiness and smoothness and richness that the engine delivers. Lots of torque as well. I think it's 143 Newton meters that make it, you know, it really does pull strong. Now handling wise, it's a pretty similar story as well. This is a bike that has plenty of stability. Obviously that Boxer twin holds its weight nice and low. It's a fairly long bike, and so it feels really planted. But the flip side of that is it's not particularly fast turning, and of course it's, you know, nearly 240 kilograms for the R and just over for the RS, so you're gonna feel a little bit that weight when you're on the super twisty stuff. But as long as you're not expecting like sports bike levels of handling from it, you know, it's a very pleasant bike to ride through those flowing twisty corners, and I think everyone's come away from the day having, you know, a lot more fun than perhaps they expected on these bikes. All of the models we've been riding today have been fitted with their dynamic ESA, so that's the electronic suspension package. It's got two settings, so road, which is a little bit more soft, and dynamic, which firms things up a little bit, and that's constantly adjusting preload to make sure that the bike's sitting level, and also damping to compensate for the riding conditions. And I think it works really nicely. I like the ride on this bike. It's a little bit on the cushy side. I wouldn't say dynamic is particularly hard and sporty, but for what this bike is intended for, you know, it really does the job nicely. It is almost 800 quid though, but I think I'd say it's possibly one of the upgrades that's worth it for this bike. Brakes are 4-pot radially mounted Brembos on big 320mm discs, and it's the same story, not particularly aggressive, not loads of bite on the initial contact. And like I say, it is a fairly weighty bike, but there is enough power there for this sort of more chilled but quick riding. Now in terms of riding position, the R is pretty much what you'd expect from a naked bike. The bars are wide and quite far back, you're sitting pretty upright, and it's 820mm in the seat, so fairly accessible. There is a low seat option and a sport accessory which lifts it by about 20mm I think, and also you've got the option of a sport handlebar on this bike which does take it a little bit further forward and down, but this is a sort of very nice neutral riding position that suits the character of the bike. The RS on the other hand, well, I think this would be my pick of the two, and while it does look a little bit more sporty, it's still really comfort biased. I mean, the riding position in the pegs and in the seat is exactly the same. It's pretty much the same bike. The bars are just a little bit further forward, a little bit bit turned in, and it just feels, for me anyway, a bit more engaging to ride because of that riding position. Then you've got the comfort of the screen and the wind protection it gives you. It's adjustable as well manually. You feel a little bit more cocooned as well, and so I think it'd make a great light tourer or sports tourer, and that's exactly the sort of thing I'd be wanting to do with this bike. Chuck some luggage on and just go for a weekend away. It's also worth mentioning there's some good stuff in the accessories catalog, of course, so things like heated grips and heated seats and comfort seats. You've got cruise control as an option as well, so I think you can really spec it up to make it quite a luxurious little tourer. Now, there's lots of tech to talk about on these bikes. It's one of the things that they've really changed for 2023. There's quite a bit more that comes as standard equipment, so things like the dynamic traction control, which is their name for cornering traction control, ABS Pro, again, that's cornering ABS, dynamic brake control, so that kills the throttle so you're not accidentally applying it when you're heavy on the brakes. There's the SOS button as well on the bars here, so if you have a crash you can press that and contact the emergency services. That's standard now. LED lighting all round, but I think my favorite feature on these bikes would be the dash. BMW just do them so well. They're so readable but fun, but easy to use. I love the choice of sort of graphics and colors, and specifically on these bikes for the new model year, they now get this sport layout, which I think is, you know, quite a lot of fun. I mean, it's not really necessarily suited to the nature of these bikes because it gives you your lean angle and maximum lean angle, and it shows you how much brake and traction control is currently being used. Super bike or super naked sort of stuff, but it does make it fun when you're riding on twisty roads. The only thing I will say about the tech package is perhaps that there's not a massive amount of sportiness in that dynamic riding mode, and so maybe I'd like a little bit more directness and aggression with the throttle map. But again, for what this bike's designed for, it's nice to have that variety there, to be able to dial it back when you're in wet conditions, and so it does the job nicely even if it doesn't blow you away. Styling wise, I think they'll probably be a little bit polarizing. I mean, on the one hand, they do have that quality of finish that you'd expect from BMW. There's plenty of design details, but on the other, you know, the Boxer Twin kind of dominates the looks, and so this kind of looks like a sports bike with a Boxer Twin plunked in there. This kind of looks like a sporty modern naked bike, but again, the Boxer just really gives it a certain distinctive look, and that's why I think some people will probably like it. Others might find it a little bit unusual. Color choices are white for this bike, triple black, and this more sporty tricolor paint job. This one comes in gray and the black and the sporty one as well. Personally though, I think I like this cheapest grey base model the most on the R, and same for the RS. I really like the white one. I think it looks quite classy and clean, and so yeah, you could save a little bit of money if you agree on those choices. But as always, I'd love to know what you think of them down in the comments. Price wise, I think it's pretty much the same story as most other BMWs. So the base price looks pretty tempting, and I think it is good value for money if all you want is like the basic mechanicals and the, you know, the quality fundamentals of these bikes. But if you do want to start layering on some of those tech options and the luxuries and the little creature comforts, then the price can get pretty steep. And the bikes that we're reviewing today, you know, they're all pretty much fully tricked out, and I think if you spec it out like this, it's, you know, getting on for like near to 20 grand. On the one hand, you could argue it might be a bit sneaky to say that the entry price is this kind of low, impressive price point, and then most customers end up paying quite a lot more than that. But on the other, you know, you could say that actually it allows people to spec the bikes exactly as they want, and you're only really paying for the features you use. Now again, I'd love to know where you come down on that argument, so do let me know down in the comments. I'd also love to know your thoughts about these two bikes generally. Certainly for me, the RS is the one that's most tempting, and like I say, if you got it spec'd up with the luggage, it'd be sort of like a low-slung GS kind of vibe, and I think that'd be quite a lot of fun, and also a brilliant tool for distance work. But yeah, let me know what you think, and if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, then please do hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.